Hello and very warm good morning, good afternoon, or good evening to all of you, no matter where in the world you are. And hope everyone's having a great day. And I would love to thank all of you for taking time out of your busy schedule today to come and attend the launch webinar for our Maritime DEI Labs 2022. Now, before we go into the details, I'll just like to introduce myself as well as your hosts for the day. So we just go to the next slide. That would be me, Shankar. I'm actually the head of innovation and change here at Hafnia. And for those of you who are probably not familiar, Hafnia is one of the largest product tanker owners and operators in the world. And I actually lead the innovation function for Hafnia. And I'm joined here today also by Richard, who's the founding partner for VBox, or Venture in a Box. Venture in a Box is a special consulting firm sort of working at the intersection of innovation and sustainability, and they would be helping us run the program for today. We're just going to talk a little bit more about the program logistics, as well as how you can submit your ideas and all those things a little bit later in the webinar. So hang on for all those interesting bits. We are actually going to start with another round of thank yous, and this time it's actually for our partners who also joined us today. If you go to the next slide, you're joined by RightShip, Hafnia, Rio, Anglo American, Thome Group, and Wilhelmsen. Now, just wanted to say a quick round of thank you for all the partners, because as it stands today, the DEI Labs for 2022 is the largest partnership-based innovation program tackling diversity and equity and inclusion-related challenges in the maritime industry as of now. And this wouldn't have happened without the actual commitment from all the partners in this group. So really, thank you for all of you. And we are looking forward to hearing more from the partners on what excites them to join this program, as well as what they're looking forward to achieving from it. And that again comes a little bit later. And just a bit of a logistics related question. I know a lot of you will have a lot of questions about the program. You can actually use the Q&A function in the webinar and submit your questions. We would try and answer as many questions as we can in this session. But at the end of it, Richard will also talk a bit more about how you can reach out to us if you have additional questions, where you can find all the information related to the program and so on and so forth. So really looking forward to that. Without much ado, I'd like to go forward and talk a bit more about the program. So if you go to the next slide, what are we trying to achieve here? So some of you who may have been part of this program called Women in Maritime Labs in 2020 would actually you would actually see a lot of these are very familiar for you. But essentially, our objective is to identify scalable digital solutions which can enhance DEI in the maritime industry. Now, what does that look like? Because we are actually essentially looking for innovative ideas which are of a digital nature, which can improve the DEI issues faced by those in the maritime industry. This can be both onshore and offshore. Now, why digital? That's often a question that we get a lot. The simple reason for that is we feel that digital ideas has the ability to kind of scale across the industry quite rapidly. So it need not be something that's very specific to your organization. We are looking for ideas which can be applied across the industry, and digital we feel has the power to do so. We'll talk again a little bit more about how you can submit your ideas and what exactly we are looking for. But then what happens and who can actually submit these ideas? That's another question that we often get. The simple answer is anyone. We're actually not restricted to only the partners who can actually submit the ideas or the employees from the partner organizations. If you are in the maritime organizations of any company anywhere in the industry, or if you're a student or in any shape and form associated with the maritime industry, you can submit your ideas. And again, when you think of these ideas, be creative, think outside the box, and submit your ideas. Remember, there's nothing like a crazy idea where you might actually think, okay, this is really crazy, this will never happen. The world is full of crazy ideas, which has actually happened. So please submit your ideas, don't be shy, even if it's something that you think is a little bit out of the box. Trust us, we have seen it all, and we have actually made some of those crazy ideas possible. So this is all good. And the last step of this process is, once we actually look at all these ideas, we are going to invite a few of you to a digital hackathon, which would take part a little bit later in October. And we would actually then look at the idea which we want to take forward and create a prototype and which can be tested out for real. So what does that really mean? Most of the innovation related challenges often finish when we have found a winning team, and then sort of, it's a bit of a thank you and see you later from there on. But we want to do things a little bit differently. The promise that we are making here is that if we really like the ideas that we have selected forward to, we would write a proof of concept for it, and we would actually test it in the industry and sort of see if it can be scalable or not. We did all of this in late 2020 and early 2021 with the Women in Maritime Labs, and out of that came a magnificent product called C Code, which is currently the only anti-harassment platform for seafarers in the world. And again, we'll talk a lot about that a little bit later when we hear from one of our partners. But essentially, we are looking for ideas which can then be scaled across the industry. So that's what we're looking for in a nutshell. Enough of talking about the program. Again, like I said, a lot more of that will come in the later stage of the program, of the webinar. But we actually want to hear a little bit more from our partners now. So if we go to the next slide. We have a lot of partners from all the different organizations represented in this webinar, and we would like to maybe start off with Mia. Mia is actually the Vice President of People, Culture and Strategy at Hafnia. We're also joined by Jamie, who is the head of HCQ at Thome Group, and Peter, who's the global head of shipping at Anglo American. Now, to start off with you, Mia, I think you've been here before, you've been part of this journey before as well. My question is essentially, why is DEI so important to us here at Hafnia? And there's a lot of stigmas associated with the mindset that it's a really hard thing to change here in the industry. We just want to hear your thoughts on that. And obviously, once you've shared your thoughts, please then I would invite Jamie and Peter to also sort of reflect your opinion on that as well. So over to you, Mia.
Yes, thank you very much, Shenka, and thanks to all the partners and participants joining. I think this initiative is pretty unique in the industry coming together, and I think that's the only way forward. But to answer your question, I think I'll start towards the end of the question on why it's so difficult to change, because it is, and I can only echo that, but I'll start with a little mind game and encourage everyone just to close their eyes, envision a large vessel. It's 200 meters, it's an LR2, it's a tanker vessel. There are pipelines all over the deck. Crew is on board wearing Hafnia boiler suits, Hafnia safety hat. The captain is on the bridge navigating the ship. You go into the main engine room. The chief engineer is working hard, and you try to get the attention of the chief engineer. The person looks at you. What do you see? I presume a lot of you will see a male, and you could do the same exercise being in a boardroom with a CEO. A lot would probably envision a middle-aged white man. And I think that's why it's difficult to change. History is difficult to change. We have biases. It is challenging getting females on board vessels. We know that. Also, it's difficult with the hierarchy in organizations on progression plans. So it's difficult to change. It's going to take time. And I think starting as an industry is the way forward. And we need to be patient and work hard. We can't just accept kind of the organic growth. We need to have more initiatives. Then on why it's important. For Hafnia, it is because there's a global shortage for talents. That comes both on our crew, but also on shore. And we really need that talent. So we need to make the pot of talent larger. We need a larger talent pool. And by including and making sure our industry is inclusive, that be age, ethnicity, gender, sexuality, disability, if we make sure that it's inclusive to everyone, we have a much bigger pot of talent. And we need that talent because we are in an industry that has some challenges in terms of what we're talking about today, DEI, but also in terms of decarbonization, digitalization, automation. So many challenges. We need all the input that we can get. So those were my 5 cents, and I'll pass on the word to Jamie.
Thank you so much, Mia, and also Una. Thank you so much to Shanka and Nalika, to Richard as well, and to all of the partners here. This is a really exciting time. And I think I'm going to address this immediately after what Mia said. It's a really complex horizon that we have ahead of us, actually, with regards to all of the challenges that we face. And the thing is, we have seen at Thome, and also research shows exactly the same thing, is that diverse teams are able to look at problems and challenges from many different views and angles. They're able to challenge the norms, they're able to challenge the biases that we see, and by actually viewing different perspectives, you are able to look at a problem and a challenge in a risk-based way, and that allows teams and organizations to react swiftly and smartly. I think if you have this inclusive view as to how we need to actually build teams and organizations in a diverse manner, you will see that, as Mia correctly said, is that the talent pool that you're allowed to draw from is massive. You're not only limiting yourself and restricting yourself. And if you're able to build an organization which is inclusive, that allows people to share ideas, views, and challenge each other in a constructive manner, then you create an environment of psychological safety. And in doing so, you really bring the organization forward. And I think lastly, when it comes to why is it so difficult to change, like I think Mia paints a perfect picture there. There's a lot of inertia that the industry has. There's a lot to push back against and a lot to actually overcome. But I think the partners in this call, I think the commitment that we've made by joining this program, and the organizations that we are from and who we speak on behalf of, are committed to making this change. And I think we are well on our way to actually at least recognizing that the time is now to change. And I'll pass it on to Peter. Thank you.
Thanks, Jamie, and thanks, Mia. And look, I'll echo a lot of those points in my sort of short views. But again, thanks to the partners as well for their involvement, and thanks to Richard and Shanka as well. Very much looking forward to the weeks ahead. Look, I guess for Anglo American as a global organisation, diversity, equity, inclusion is extremely important to us. It's not just an initiative within our business, but it's a critical key component of our sustainable mine plan, of which our shipping activity is really important. We aim to try and make sure that all employees are valued and in particular safe. And we want each of our employees to reach the full potential that they have, regardless of their background, their lifestyle, their position. And why do we do that? Not just because it's the right thing to do, but I think it relates to a lot of the things that both Mia and Jamie have also discussed, that it also creates a better business, which is really key for us at Anglo American. A business that'll thrive, that'll be exposed to a range of different views and opinions, which is really important. It creates an environment which is safe, which is a priority for us as an operation. And also the ability to stand out from the crowd, to be an industry leader and to be able to retain and attract really high quality talent going forward. But it's hard and it takes a lot of work and a lot of focus. It is a matter of culture and mindset that's already been alluded to. And therefore programs like this, and we think innovative programs like this, is a unique way of bringing focus and a lasting impact to that change. There is a lot of challenges around diversity, equity, and inclusion, and they run deep into people's personal background, their experiences, their biases, which is a word that's come up. And to be fair, that's not always easy, and it's very hard to change people's sort of ingrained attitudes. And we don't think that will just change from a few seminars and a few targets. It really has to be a meaningful engagement, and I think that's really what's attracted us to this opportunity. Change needs to be sticky, needs to be lasting. And it's not just forced, it needs to be developed to ensure that we get that stickiness going forward. And we think this innovation and opportunity to work with a wider group will really get some critical mass and some scale, and we have the best chance of bringing a lot of focus to this issue and implementing some lasting change. So we hope this program and the ongoing support from the sponsors as well, including us, will create some real lasting change within diversity, equity and inclusion. And really changes those cultures and mindsets so that we have that lasting impact. So at Anglo American, we're super excited about the lab and the launch today. We're really encouraged by the participation. We'll certainly be encouraging a lot within our business, right across the operations, from shipping all the way through to get involved, and looking forward to getting into some of the submissions in the weeks ahead. So very excited about what's ahead of us. Pass back to you, Shankar.
Thanks, Peter. And really great to hear very different perspectives, but sort of common themes coming from all three of you, Mia, Jamie, and you, Peter, as well. So if I just quickly summarize, some of the things that came up is the necessity to attract that diverse talent pool, which is obviously going to be really beneficial for the business. The second theme that comes up is how diversity is actually a driver for more innovation, which is kind of very interesting when you think about it, because you're hearing a lot of different perspectives. You're kind of allowing people, creating a culture of psychological safety where they can really voice their opinion. So great points there, and we hope to achieve a lot of this as soon as the program kicks off and we start receiving those ideas as well. So great to hear from all three of you. Now, if we go to the next slide, we have two other partners here, Tarun, who's the Chief Strategy Officer for RightShip, and Garrett, who's the Manager for Strategy, Climate and Partnerships here at Rio Tinto. Now, very interesting to also hear from both of you and kind of see what really excites you about this program. But I do understand that both of you have kind of a very unique perspective of working in innovation and also sort of working on programs of this nature. So this is kind of allowing you guys a front seat to the show and sort of putting yourself a little bit distant from your day-to-day life and kind of seeing how things are happening in this program. So maybe we'll start off with you, Tarun, just sort of hear a little bit more about your program and what you're looking forward to. And then, of course, after that, we'll hear from Garrett as well.
Thanks for that, Shankar. No, absolutely. It's pretty exciting to see the constellation of partners coming together for such an important topic. We at RightShip are, of course, let's face it, there are multiple problems in the world today within shipping. Two key trends around decarbonization and digitalization. Now, to solve for some of these hard problems, often we are looking for not just the conventional way in the industry, but we're also looking out for unconventional ways to solving the problems, whether it's open innovation, hackathons, and whatnot. I think it's really heartening to see the constellation of partners coming together and really putting the thinking hat on and saying, how do we solve for one of the other key challenges within the maritime industry with a potential to scale into some of the other industries that we all touch in our own sort of verticals. So personally, I'm really excited to see the collaboration opportunity that this vehicle offers to participants. It's a safe crucible to really, come together, try out new things, but not just from a process perspective, but also with the commitment of the partners to really bring to the table the knowledge, the commitment to provide you with sound sort of coaching around the idea around how to sort of scale digital solutions as well. The other one is the potential to scale a problem with a particular solution pairing, right? Which is really interesting. We are looking for digital first solutions as part of this lab. And that sort of really feeds into the whole digitization problem as well. Last but not the least, I think it's the diversity of thought that needs to come together to solve some of these hard problems. Because otherwise it's a group thing that you would end up to solve for some of the harder problems here, which I think it's really heartening to see that for something as crucial as DEI, that we are as an industry taking proactive steps. I think as Peter mentioned that it's, no numbers of seminars and webinars are going to solve it. You've got to take credible action. So what is really personally heartening for me to see is this whole initiative going from 2 to 3 sponsors to us as a collective in a year's time. I think it's really interesting to really demonstrate the commitment of the market and some of our companies to solve for these problems. So really looking forward to not just the solutions itself, but the diversity of solutions that would come into the funnel, which is really, really crucial. I mean, winning the hackathon is just one bit of it, but that should not hamper from people to really go out and put themselves out, put their ideas out, and look for feedback. With that, I would like to pass it on to Garrett.
Excellent. Thank you, Taryn. And look, I'd like to start by saying thanks to Richard and Shankar alongside the broader partners for their leadership in the initiative. I actually originally connected through Richard and Shankar through a similar crowdsourcing initiative that Rio Tinto launched a few months back through our Pioneer portal, where we welcome submissions for forefront efficiency levers to increase the vessel efficiency and reduce carbon. You know, think kites, sails, tiny bubbles from the vessel hull. And we received over 60 submissions and are currently working through quite an intensive yet exciting shortlisting process. And I think from our own experience with the Pioneer portal, you know, we connected into very talented people, innovative solutions, and really inspired organizations from across the globe. And I think in a similar vein, through this Maritime DEI Lab, we hope to tap on crowdsourcing and collective efforts from the industry to elevate DEI and drive meaningful change in our operations, but also the broader industry. I really see an outstanding opportunity here for individuals and small teams to have a platform through which to promote their ingenuity, stemming from day-to-day lived experiences, and ultimately the clear need to improve diversity, equity, inclusion in the maritime industry. You know, to connect it back, I think, to our organization a bit here at Rio Tinto, our experience really tells us that mining and shipping share very similar challenges, including at times unacceptable behaviors such as bullying and sexual harassment. And at Rio Tinto, we're one of the drivers that really got us excited to join in this initiative. You know, we're really committed to change, and we believe we have a part to play. In 2021, for example, we launched our new values of care, courage, and curiosity, which really reinforced the culture change, including where people feel comfortable to be themselves, driving greater inclusivity and, as others have noted, performance. While we're not where we want to be yet in gender diversity, whether it be in mining or certainly in shipping, we have established targets at Rio Tinto to improve the number of women in our organizations at all levels. And we're hoping to achieve, you know, some similar results in maritime over the years to follow. As a critical supply chain partner to our company's mining business and one of the largest dry bulk shippers in the world, we have a role to play, you know, to create a better future for people and for the industries in which we're participating in. And I think really, in conclusion, in the most critical areas of safety, crew welfare, DEI, or decarbonization in the environment, I think it's really partnering to improve industry outcomes. It isn't just practical, but it's really responsible. And so, speaking on behalf of Rio Tinto, really look forward to your submissions. I think Shankar, back to you here.
Thanks, Garrett. And again, very interesting thoughts from Taryn and Garrett. And it's kind of interesting to see again the themes emerging as well. So if I look at it, you know, one of the most important theme that's coming up is the need for collaboration. How can actually partners come together to solve really difficult problems? We're talking about solving DEI, we're talking about solving decarbonization. These are not easy challenges to solve, and it actually really needs a collaborative approach, because no partner alone can actually move the needle on these things. We need some, you know, collaborative efforts to do something here. And the second sort of interesting thing that came up is the role of open innovation, where you're kind of crowdsourcing ideas, where you're really engaging an ecosystem to give you ideas and solutions to some of these challenges. And that's essentially one of the main aspects of the program that we're trying to achieve here as well. And the last thought, which was sort of something interesting, I think you said that term, which is you're also not just looking for solutions, but the diversity of solutions as well. And again, this is something that we always encourage the participants as and when they're submitting their ideas. You know, form teams with diverse backgrounds, form teams maybe within not your normal sort of, you know, networks. That would actually enable diversity of thoughts and diversity of solutions when you submit your ideas as well. So great to hear from both of you. And if we actually move on to our next set of partners on the next slide, we have Isa, who's the co-founder of Seafarers, and Melanie, who's the VP for ESG at Wilhelmsen. Now, slightly different perspectives again from the both of you. You two have been part of the previous cycle of the Women in Maritime Labs in late 2020. So we would like to probably call you as alumni and not just partners in this sense. Both of you were participants, and Isa, you came up with the idea for C Code, and Melanie, your team did fantastically well as well. And now you've actually decided to join us as a partner. So we really want to know what's in it for the participants, because you can actually give a first-hand view of what went through in the last round and what advice would you give them. So maybe we'll again start off with you, Isa, and then hear from you later, Melanie. Over to you, Isa.
Thank you, Shankar. Hello, everyone, and greetings from Çanakkale, Dardanelles Strait, Turkey. It's amazing to be here this year again, and thank you for the opportunity to all partners again. Last year, the Women in Maritime Ideathon was the first hackathon program that collected ideas, and people worldwide became together for only one purpose: to create a safe and equal workplace for women in maritime. So we have spent 3 full days with amazing mentors, gave our team enormous courage. This is really important, to develop our C Code anti-harassment application idea. And after our quick study with 300 participants, and more than 80% of the people said, yes, the harassment cases on board are not reported because of the biases. So during the hackathon, even we have been assisted to create our website, demo, logo, and the process of how to make the first project pitch. As an ex-seafarer, I can say that, yes, this was a huge problem on board. And also we had chance during the hackathon, we had chance to see other participants' ideas, which is really inspiring. And we have done, as seafarers, we became together with Shell team last year to contribute our anti-harassment idea. And because we believe this idea, this is a necessity in the maritime industry and must become true. It was really, really like a dream for us, for our seafarers team. And this was an amazing journey for our team to feel that together is better philosophy beyond the borders. I can just summarize up everything with this ideathon. Is really where the dreams coming true, from an idea to reality, and together is better mentality. And as the winner of the program between 56 projects last year, and I would like to thank all the mentors and investors and all the contributors, because this is the real point of the collaboration, how the collaboration makes sense in the industry. And I can say that our dreams are coming true, and to create a safer working environment for women at sea. And now we are changing it like all people at sea, without beyond borders and without any kind of discrimination. Shankar, thank you.
Thanks, Isa. We'll now hear from Melanie.
Sure, thank you very much. So having participated in it last year, what we saw was that it was a framework, a systematic way of bringing ideas through a funnel and into some final solutions. And that's what's really attractive for us as Wilhelmsen to partner with the rest of the gang here. We've been working on equality, diversity and inclusion for many, many years. Across our 60 or so countries that we operate in and within the maritime industry. But this is a perfect facility for participants to really bring something forward and make a contribution to make change in our industry. Last year when we participated, some of the tips that I'd share from there would be to include as many people as you can in your idea and also in coming up with your solution. Everybody is a subject matter expert when it comes to equality, diversity and inclusion. So really involve as many people as possible in your idea and idea development. Also, when it comes to the ideas, bring up as many as you can. So have fun, play, build on ideas and really contribute all of those into the program, because one of them might be the eventual winner. So as many ideas as possible. At Wilhelmsen, it's all about how do we take EDI into action. So we're really looking forward to, again, using this funnel to bring through not only ideas, but actually implement and apply a solution at the end. And I think that's what you have access to in this program. All of these partners here, companies that want to make a difference and want to make a change. So back to you, Shankar.
Thanks, Melanie. And again, summarizing both Isa and your thoughts here as well, as sort of participants and winners of the previous round, it is a program where we also encourage everyone to submit as many ideas as possible, and not just worry too much about, okay, is my idea perfect enough or not? There's a process for that. If you get selected, we'll make sure that your ideas are perfect. Second is hearing from you as well, Isa, how it gave you a chance to kind of use the right tools to bring your idea to a reality. And for the participants who are listening, this is the process that we will follow once the winning idea is selected. We have a systemic way of actually bringing that idea to life during the hackathon. And once the hackathon is done, sort of spending more time and effort into testing it in the market as well. So again, listening to the tips from those who have actually been in the program, I hope it's actually very useful for those who are thinking of applying for this round. Thank you once again to all the partners who's actually come on this call and shared your thoughts on the program. Now, I will actually hand this over to Richard, who's actually going to walk us a little bit through the program logistics and how we can actually go ahead and submit your ideas. Over to you, Richard.
Okay, thank you, Shankar. And yeah, next slide, please, I guess. So I think we've heard some fantastic inspiration from the partners and also from Isa, who obviously won last year. You've heard why it's important to make the change. I think you've heard why this hackathon idea is different to other initiatives and how kind of working in collaboration is important. I think finally, you've heard why it's a great opportunity, why it's good fun to be involved in this. So how can you be involved in it, and more importantly, what are the sort of the time frames? And I think the key date for everybody on the call to bear in mind is September the 14th, because that is when we're going to take our final submissions. So between now and September the 14th, this is your opportunity to come up with your ideas, gather your teams, think of as many ideas as you possibly can, and then start thinking about writing them down and getting them submitted. The lab event itself, the hackathon, will be in the beginning of October. So that is a 3-day virtual event, about sort of 4 or 5 hours per day. And that is, as has been described, that's the opportunity to take those ideas, the submitted ideas, the winning ideas. We'll take those ideas, develop them, we'll have external inspiration. And at the end of that period, that's where the rubber hits the road, and there'll be a presentation, a sort of Dragon's Den or Shark's Tank type presentation, and the winning idea will then go forward, and we will work with the partners to build a POC and get that developed and see whether it can create the impact that we'll be looking for. So that's the timeline. Fairly straightforward, but the key date is 14th of September. So really kind of after this call, get back into your groups, talk to your friends, talk to your colleagues, talk broadly, and start thinking about those ideas. Get them in by September the 14th. So if we go to the next slide. So we've put together a sort of program website for this, and you can see the link there, esginnovation.com, Maritime DEI Lab 2022, extremely long. There's everything on there that you need. The most important thing is the portal to submit your ideas. So you'll find on that website, you can go in, put all the details in there, and you can upload any documents. I mean, it's the usual kind of PowerPoint slides or Word documents or whatever. We're going to be putting some more little videos in there to sort of help you think about ideation, to help you think about what makes a good submission. What there's also in there is there are videos from the last event. So what you can actually go back is you can see Aisha and you can see Melanie in action as they presented to the judges. And again, I think it's quite useful to have a look at those because you'll see what they included, and that should give you some hints and tips and help you as you think about what you need to be putting into your pitch, because we're expecting a lot of ideas. We will only shortlist probably between 5 and 10 for that hackathon. So do try to make it as thorough as you can at the beginning, but again, go broad. I think Shankar mentioned crazy ideas. Melanie mentioned as many ideas as you can. Really go through that, because it's the kind of off the wall idea that could really kind of make the difference, and that's the one that will say, well, hang on, there's something there, and we'll really look to develop that one. So think very, very broadly, but lots and lots of material on the website. So if you go to the next slide, so if there's not enough there and you still need more help, then of course feel free to reach out to myself, and you can see my contact details there. Also, you've heard from Shankar, contact him, or any of your sort of, you know, any of the partners that are involved. Talk to them if you need any particular assistance. But between Shankar and myself, we will help you out as best we can. If you've got any particular questions, any concerns, if something doesn't work, then just let us know, and we will be able to help you. So I think we're just about there in terms of going on to Q&A now. So Shankar, have you got some Q&As there? I've got a couple here. Are there any?
Yes, so I have one which is on whether seafarers are allowed to take part. The short and simple answer is yes. Yes, you are allowed to take part. Submit your ideas. We understand that, you know, maybe due to bandwidth or some of the other reasons, if you're having challenges, you know, do let us know. If you have any questions, reach out to us. We'd be more than happy to help you with that as well. But yes, seafarers are allowed to participate, and we encourage you. Your question, Richard.
So yeah, I've got one here, which this is a good one. How do we decide which submissions will go into the final? So I mean, what we try to do is we have a process which is as objective as possible, and we'll be looking at. I think if I'm going to get it wrong now, Shankar, but I think it's three things. So it's is the idea kind of unique? Do we think it's scalable, and do we think it's actually going to kind of work? So probably in the so is it a unique idea? Do we really think it's going to work, and can we scale it? So those will be the three things. So again, I think in terms of that's what we'll be looking at. So when you put your ideas in, do remember to say, you know, what is it? You have your idea, but what is that problem that it's trying to solve? Because we'll really be looking at it and say, well, actually, this is a big problem, and we think this idea can solve it. And then we'll be looking at, you know, is it unique? Does it exist already? Again, don't forget to kind of Google. If you have a great idea, just Google it and just see if someone else has already thought about it. But then the other thing we'll be looking at, and this is also the value of this program, is we have a lot of partner organizations. We'll be looking at the ability to scale. So if it's an incredibly complicated idea, then that's not going to be right. We're looking for something which is kind of simple, easy to scale, because that will create the impact. So that was that one. Shankar, have you got some more?
Yes, thanks, Richard. I think this is not from the Q&A, but this is, funny enough, a question that I received earlier this day, and I thought maybe I'll just share it here for the benefit of everyone. The question was whether we can get some examples on the type of ideas that were actually submitted. The answer is again, yes, that's in the process. Very soon you can actually go to the website link that Richard shared, and we would be posting the pitches of the actual teams who submit their ideas and who were selected for the hackathon last year. So you can get a sense of what those ideas look like. But essentially, Richard sort of explained, you know, what we are looking for, and it's not any different from that. So that's the last one. Great. Yeah, I believe we are sort of you know, right on time as well. And again, hopefully this has been very clear to everyone in terms of what's required from you. And again, if you have questions, feel free to reach out to us. We'll be more than happy to help you out. And again, a big thank you to whoever's dialed in, and also a big thank you to all the partners who's actually shared their time today and come here and talk about their interest in the program and why they're participating in this round. So thank you, all of you, and hope everyone has a really amazing day going forward. Take care.
Thank you.